Hello, everyone, and welcome. It looks like we have a small group today, but that's all right. I might give it 1 or 2 more minutes before we get started to see if anyone else joins, but welcome to the CKC free webinar for March. Today, we're going to be talking about Chapter 3 from CRM or Die, and the title of that chapter is Benefits of an Integrated CRM Solution. It should be a really valuable presentation. My name is Erica Curtis. I'm the Marketing and Communications Specialist at CKC Consulting. So I am actually here just to be facilitator. Courtney pre-recorded her presentation and I will be sharing that in just a minute. I'll share my screen and play that video. But if you would like, I put into the chat already some links that you might find helpful. The first one is for Courtney's presentation slides. And then there's some other resources, upcoming events, things that Courtney will reference in her video in there. If anyone has any questions as the presentation goes along, please put them into the chat. I'll be keeping my eye on that the whole time. And if it's a question about something you need more information about, something that CKC can provide, if I'm not the person who can answer that, which is pretty likely, I will be sure to connect you with the person who can. So yeah, any questions, anything you need clarification on. Also, if you find any technical difficulties, please just drop that into the chat as well, and I will do my absolute best. Looks like we had a couple more people join us, and so I'm just going to give it 1 more minute before we start. But I will actually share my screen. Just to make sure that is working.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our free CRM webinar. We're going to be talking about the benefits of CRM today. We're so excited to have you join us. I'm Courtney Kearney, founder and owner of CKC Consulting, and let's jump in and get started. Everything that we talk about this year for 2022 comes from the CRM or Die content in the book. If you do not have it, we will provide links in the chat so that you can purchase one. If you do have it and haven't read it yet, totally okay. Everything you learn here today is applicable whether you have a book or not. If you do purchase a book or head over to the CRM or Die website, there you will be able to look at the sneak peek information from the book so you can see some of the previews of the content. And then also, if you purchase a book, you can have access to exclusive resources that support the book. You can also spread the word by writing a review if you have purchased a book. And then you can take a CRM self-assessment quiz that helps you track your CRM journey. It's great to start this before you read the book, and then once a quarter after that, so you can track the data and analytics of your CRM journey. A little preview of the book content. We've got resources that support every chapter, from change management all the way through implementation timelines, key performance indicators, maintenance reports, things like that. Titling the book CRM or Die might seem very extreme, but really we believe that if firm leaders do not embrace client relationship management, then the business will perish. It really will be the death of a business. It was totally hit home when Kevin shared this quote with us. We risk an evaporation into irrelevance rather than a sudden death. Most clients who depart don't tell us that they're doing so. They quietly disappear. The really painful part is that that situation could be happening right now without even realizing it. This definitely helped us pick the cover for the book because it is that slow evaporation over time. Our clients usually don't call and tell us that they're not going to select us anymore for projects. It just happens over time. So being intentional about how to manage those client relationships is important. A little bit of housekeeping before we go on. We have a ton of resources available to you, as well as great events coming up. So be sure to check out our website. Last but not least, the most important takeaway from the book and the most important takeaway from today, whether you hear anything else from this, I want you to hear this. CRM is not about a piece of technology. It is about people and process. So it is about how your staff is using the process that you put in place. It is not about which piece of technology that you're using. You could be successful and all you're using is Excel. You could be successful and use a power tool like Salesforce. And by your people and your processes. Now we break this down into 4 parts to unlocking your CRM potential. We've got the foundation, preparation, utilization, and thriving. These first couple months for our free webinar series, we've been focusing on the foundation. We've covered how to figure out your CRM and data why, how to understand that, how to display it, the importance of a well-documented CRM process, why data is the future, what it means to make data-driven decisions. And today we're going to be talking about why a CRM is so beneficial. Again, why the process and the people are so beneficial. The 4 main CRM benefits that we're going to focus on today: increase profitability, bolster productivity, improve efficiency, and boost morale. Now, of course, there are endless benefits for client relationship management. We're going to hone in on these 4. To do that, we're going to look at a case study. Now, if you've read the book, this firm is going to be familiar to you. We look at a civil engineering firm who is led by Brendan, and he is the owner of the civil engineering firm. He's owned the business for nearly 40 years. After his business survived the Great Recession, he vowed to put in a few more years before retiring. Now, Brendan plans to leave the business to his eldest son, Patrick, who has been in the firm for the past 15 years. But then there was a global pandemic called COVID-19, and these plans changed. Brendan is uncertain if he will ever be able to retire because he does not want to leave this business in a weak economy. Does this sound true? Does this ring familiar to you? We cannot control the exterior economic factors. Too many businesses survive one economic disaster only to face another industry crisis right behind it. Many AEC professionals are used to the peaks and the valleys, but in the last couple years, we've really been hit with rapid succession of this uncertainty. We cannot control exterior factors, but one thing that we can control is how we take care of the assets that we possess within our organization. We control the assets and the resources, those people and the processes. The relationships we have within the industry are some of the most important data assets. And sometimes I feel like we don't look at them as that, but relationships are assets and they need to be protected. Many firms and owners and industry veterans have done an excellent job of managing these relationships, maintaining them, growing them, nurturing them. However, when those leaders and senior staff leave, so do those relationships if you don't have a process in place. And with those relationships goes the associated revenue. But it doesn't have to be this way. Protecting the firm's business intelligence includes those relationships and the intel that accompanies them. It's an important part of the CRM process in your system. It is a valuable benefit of having an integrated CRM solution, but it is not the only CRM benefit. Yes, we all know that protecting the relationships is important. Yes, we all understand that we should do these things, but how? How does this look? How does that play out? If we go back to Brendan and Patrick and this civil engineering firm, Brendan decided that he did want to include his son, Patrick. It was time for quarterly reviews to look at their current projects. As many owners do, Brendan takes pride in the relationships that he creates with each of his clients, and he feels passionate about each one of those projects. We all know that, especially if you try to do things like have a go, no-go conversation, people are protective of those relationships. But reviewing the data behind your projects, behind those relationships, is very important. To prepare for the quarterly review, Patrick pulled together the data behind those current projects and reviewed each client's revenue over the past 5 years. Patrick, the younger one, the son, he is driven by data. So when he began working for the company, he took the small marketing budget and invested in a CRM system. He has been diligently entering data in the company's key accounts, including clients his father is close with. He has been tracking those projects that they have pursued with each of these clients, noting when they win and they lose different pursuits. He also tracks why they've lost certain pursuits and how much referral work each client has brought the company, if any. Now, Patrick got curious about the data. He got curious about these clients that his dad was so protective of and so passionate about. This curiosity led to factual information about their current workload. Patrick was shocked at what the data revealed. The client that his dad had done the most work with in the previous 15 years turned out not to be an ideal client. Less than 5 projects of the last 15 were profitable. The client made a lot of changes. He was difficult to work with. He hadn't referred a single client, and every reference request went unanswered. This really exposed that this might not be the ideal client, although there was a very strong relationship between the two businesses. Sometimes the clients we think are profitable aren't. Sometimes the people that we like the most to do things with aren't the best to be clients. Profitable clients are not just clients that pay us on time, but clients that are not draining on your resources, whether that is people resources, dollars. Profitable clients should not cost the firm extra resources. Ideal clients, of course, are profitable, but they also refer work to you because they are happy to work with you. They also provide benefits to your employees and work with you as partners. A CRM solution integrated with the accounting system is a great tool to look at these business relationships holistically and over time in order to determine if those relationships are beneficial. Unfortunately, for the case of Brendan and Patrick, some of the relationships that they felt the strongest about were in fact costing them revenue and resources. Taking an unbiased look at the data showed some insight. Holistic data can mean that you increase your profitability because you can make better decisions about the clients that you pursue, the clients that you prioritize. In some cases, the decision to go or no go, the decision to let go of some clients and not pursue future work with them, they might not be easy, and we understand that, but they are critical to the firm's success. Shifting how you think about your clients and the work that you're chasing and the work that you're pursuing allows the firm to thrive and be more profitable, and it will lead to better customer success for your clients. Now, after Brendan and Patrick reviewed the active clients and determined which ones were ideal, they shifted their attention inward. It was time to make changes of how to prioritize the work that came in the door based on the data and the client analytics that they had completed. This new awareness changed how they managed the business, which resulted in an increase in productivity. By using this new CRM and the data that they were using and putting in the system, they were able to create a process that allowed them to analyze the data on an ongoing basis, instead of trying to make educated guesses or go with their gut. Now they had answers and things were becoming clear, all because they had access to centralized data. The resources allowed the employees to do their jobs better, and it gave leadership the ability to have data to support their data-driven decisions. This also increased the efficiency and the effectiveness, in addition to all the other benefits that we've talked about so far. Now, you might be thinking, I get it, Courtney, these are all things that I've heard forever. Where you might be going next is change is hard, and yes, I understand that. So not only do we recognize that collecting data, analyzing it, turning it into insights, it's all part of the process, but it's difficult, it's hard. It is hard to make change to behavior and to the habits that we've all put in place. That comes back to that why. The why are we doing this? Why do we need this information that we talked about in previous webinars? The decision to invest in data can sometimes be met with resistance, especially when it comes to client relationships. These are strong feelings involved when discussing the relationships that people have spent years cultivating, and we understand that. Some might be concerned that it's taking billable time to populate a CRM, that they might feel anxious about the change and where are these hours going to come from to be able to do this. Others might feel nervous about the data being used punitively, or fear that clients will turn their backs on the firm when they realize that things are reprioritizing. These concerns are valid and must be faced head-on with transparent communication. Really going deep, and we're going to do this in a future webinar, in a future chapter in the book, into change management is important. So understanding how to communicate these. But if you already are having those feelings right now while we're talking about the benefits and just saying, my firm would never be able to do this, go ahead and write those down so that you can head those off, write out the past, and face them and communicate why this change is needed now and how we're going to address some of those fears. Now, once all of that is addressed and communicated, the firm leaders looking at the data, they should never go back to those old habits and old ways of doing business by a gut feeling and never looking at the data. Once that clear path forward has been made clear, we want to move in that direction to increase profitability, increase efficiency, and push forward. The ultimate goal is that we want to turn data into information, information into knowledge, that knowledge into insight, and finally, that insight into competitive advantage. So we want to get that data into a process, into a system so that we can get that competitive advantage. Using their CRM, Brendan and Patrick turned data into insight, and that insight into competitive advantage by increasing their profitability and shifting their focus to client-centered data. And they started making decisions that improved their internal efficiency while ensuring that they still delivered the best service to their clients. One of the insights discovered was the need to make a staffing change. This affected Jacob, a senior engineer, and they decided that his department needed more resources. After a few weeks of having this change be put in place, Jacob came to Brennan's office and he let him know that he had just received a call from a client. And this client wanted to discuss the change in his team's performance in the last several weeks. He wanted to express that he was so impressed with their work that he decided to forgo the proposal process for the next 3 projects and direct assign them and go through a negotiation process instead of bidding out the project. This was incredible to see that a change like this, based on data, directly impacted the client, which also impacted the bottom line. Because of the data that they pulled from their CRM and the insights that they gained, they were able to recognize their best performers, make changes to get more resources where it would be most effectively used, which resulted in happier clients and more work. Not only that, but Brennan had noticed that Jacob's entire department had been in higher spirits than the months previous. They seemed to have found a good flow, they were working well together, and by the sound of things, the clients were noticing. Now, ultimately, our firms want to prioritize ideal clients, making sure that they are profitable, not a drain on resources, and having the ability to have your team not struggle to win over clients, but actually be partnered together and not worry about the client's actions are going to negatively affect the project profitability. Really using this data and being driven by that alleviates stress and makes our jobs easier. By using a data-driven approach to our client relationships and only focusing on the clients that make us profitable, that help our team, that are partners, the byproduct of that attitude, of that data-driven approach, is a team with higher morale and the energy to take on more work and execute it at a higher level. So looking at what we've discussed today, again, I could go on for hours and hours and hours of how many benefits there are to having a strong client relationship management process. But the 4 that we focused on today is the power of having centralized data, improved accountability, increasing your transparency. These are all things that go and stem off of these 4 benefits of increasing your profitability, bolstering your productivity, improving your efficiency, and boosting your morale. So the key takeaways from today: your CRM allows you to turn data into insight, which you can use to create competitive advantage. The case study highlights the importance of leadership buy-in and accountability. When client relationship management is understood and put into action, everyone in the firm benefits, including the firm itself. This is your year, this is your moment. Take control and act on your CRM process and making it a priority. I wanted to let everybody know that we are hiring. If you are interested in part-time remote project management work, please hit us up. I know Erica has put a link to our website to learn more information about that opening. We've also got some more free CRM chats coming up. So this is the discussion part. So discussing what we talked about today in more depth. So if you want to hear about what other people are doing, the benefits that they get from a CRM, then definitely plan to attend March 17th, 1 to 1:30 Central. Finally, thank you so much for spending the last 30 minutes with us, and hope that this was insightful so that you can come back to your firm and make the argument of how a CRM process or a CRM system both would be beneficial to your firm Have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being here. I hope that that was helpful. I'm going to just put a couple more links in the chat. For you to reference. There's the link I'm going to put in there right now for more information on that job that we are looking to fill. Thank you all so much for being here. We really appreciate you spending time with us, and have a great rest of your day.